The afternoon sun came through the open garage doors and made long shadows on the concrete floor. Minji Park wiped the grease from her hands with an old red cloth. She was 17 years old with her dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Small drops of sweat ran down her face. It was hot inside the garage, even with both doors wide open. She bent down next to a motorcycle that was older than her father. The bike was taken apart on the floor. Engine parts lay in neat rows on a clean sheet. Each piece had its place. Minji knew where every bolt and wire belonged. She had learned this from watching her father since she was 6 years old. The garage belonged to her father. The sign outside said Park Motorworks in faded blue letters. The building was small and sat at the edge of town. The walls inside were covered with old calendars and tool charts. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. It was a smell Minji loved more than any perfume. Her father was in the back office doing paperwork. Minji heard him talking on the phone with a parts supplier. She smiled and turned back to her work. The vintage motorcycle in front of her was special. It was her grandfather's bike from the 1970s. Her father had given it to her 6 months ago. "If you can restore this," he had said, "then you really know motorcycles." Minji picked up a wrench and checked the engine block. Her hands moved with confidence. She knew this engine better than most people knew their own cars. Every morning before school she worked on it. Every afternoon after school she worked on it. On weekends she spent all day in the garage. Outside she heard the loud sound of motorcycle engines. The sound grew closer and then stopped. Minji looked up. Through the open garage door, she saw 4 motorcycles parking in front of the building. She knew who they were before they took off their helmets. The Chrome Riders. That was what they called themselves. They were a group of teenage boys who rode expensive motorcycles around town. They thought they owned the streets. The leader was Taeyang Kim. He was 19 years old and came from the richest family in town. His motorcycle cost more than some people's cars. Taeyang got off his bike first. He was tall and wore a black leather jacket that looked brand new. His 3 friends followed him. Their names were Do-hyun, Junho, and Seungmin. They all dressed the same way. Black jackets, dark jeans, expensive boots. They thought they looked cool. Minji stood up and walked to the front of the garage. She wiped her hands again on the cloth. She had dealt with these boys before. They came to the garage sometimes, but they never took her seriously. "Hey, look," Do-hyun said, laughing. "The little girl is playing with tools again." The other boys laughed too. Taeyang smiled and walked closer. His boots made loud sounds on the concrete floor. He looked around the garage like he was inspecting it. "Where's your dad?" Taeyang asked. He did not look at Minji when he spoke. His eyes moved over the motorcycles and tools. "He's in the office," Minji said. Her voice was calm and steady. "Do you need something?" Taeyang finally looked at her. His smile was not friendly. "My bike is making a weird sound. Thought I'd bring it by." Minji walked past him toward his motorcycle outside. She could hear the problem before she even got close. The engine was still warm and she could hear a ticking sound that should not be there. She bent down to look closer. "It's your valve timing," she said. "You need to get that fixed soon or you'll damage the engine." Taeyang laughed. It was a loud, mean laugh. "Valve timing? You don't even know what that means, do you?" His friends laughed with him. Unyo pulled out his phone and started recording. "This is funny," he said. Girl mechanic giving advice to Taeyang. Minji stood up straight. She looked at Taeyang directly. "I know exactly what it means. Your intake valves are not opening at the right time. If you ignore it, you'll burn out your engine in a few weeks." Sure, Taeyang said, waving his hand like he was brushing away a fly. "Stick to painting nails, sweetheart. Motorcycles are for people who actually know what they're doing." Seungmin laughed so hard he had to hold his stomach. "She thinks she's a real mechanic." Minji felt heat rise in her face, but she kept her expression neutral. She had learned not to show emotion around people like this. Getting angry would only make them laugh more. She turned and walked back into the garage. "Where are you going?" Taeyang called after her. "Can't handle the truth?" Minji did not answer. She went back to her grandfather's motorcycle and picked up her wrench. Behind her, she heard the boys still laughing. She heard Taeyang start his motorcycle. The ticking sound was even louder now. He revved the engine several times, trying to show off. Then they all rode away, their engines roaring down the street. The garage became quiet again. Minji's hands were shaking slightly as she held the wrench. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. She focused on the engine parts in front of her. Each piece had a purpose. Each piece fit perfectly with the others. Motorcycles made sense. They followed rules. They did not care if you were a boy or a girl. They only cared if you knew what you were doing. Her father came out of the office a few minutes later. He was a short man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had grease stains on his shirt that never came out, no matter how many times they washed it. He looked at Minji and then toward the street where the boys had gone. "The Chrome Riders again?" he asked. Minji nodded. She did not trust her voice yet. Her father walked over and stood next to her. He looked down at the vintage motorcycle. "You know," he said quietly, "I've been fixing bikes for 30 years. I've met 1,000 guys like that Taiyang kid. They all think loud engines and expensive parts make them real riders." He picked up a small gear from the sheet on the floor. He turned it over in his hands. "But real riders, real mechanics, they understand something important. The bike doesn't care about your ego. It doesn't care about your money or your attitude. It only responds to skill and respect." Minji looked at her father. He smiled at her. "Your grandfather used to say something. He said, 'Let your work speak for itself.' You don't need to argue with boys like that. Just do what you do best. The truth always comes out eventually." He put the gear back down carefully in its spot. "Besides," he added, "that kid's bike is going to blow a valve in 2 weeks if he doesn't fix it. When it does, he'll remember that you tried to warn him." Minji smiled a little. Her father patted her shoulder and went back to the office. She looked down at the vintage motorcycle again. The chrome parts gleamed in the afternoon light. This bike was almost 50 years old, but it was beautiful, strong, classic. It did not need to be loud or flashy to be powerful. She picked up the engine block and examined it closely. Her grandfather had built this bike with his own hands. He had taught her father, and her father had taught her. 3 generations of knowledge lived in her hands and mind. As she worked, the sound of the street faded away. The memory of the mocking laughter faded too. There was only the bike, the tools, and the quiet satisfaction of understanding how things worked. Minji lost herself in the work, piece by piece, building something strong and true. The sun moved across the sky. The shadows in the garage grew longer. Minji's hands stayed steady. She would let her work speak for itself, just like her grandfather had said. Just like her father still believed, and maybe, just maybe, she would find a way to make everyone listen. 2 days passed. Minji was at school when she first heard about the race. She was sitting in the cafeteria eating lunch alone. She liked sitting alone because she could think about her projects. Today she was thinking about the carburetor problem on her grandfather's bike. At the next table, a group of boys talked loudly. They always talked loudly. Minji tried to ignore them, but one phrase caught her attention. "The mountain race is in 3 weeks," one boy said. His voice was excited. "My cousin is entering this year." Minji looked up. The boy talking was named Jinwoo. He was in her math class. He loved motorcycles too, but he only talked about them. He never fixed them or rode them seriously. "No way," another boy said. "That race is legendary. Only the best riders enter that." "I know," Jinwoo said. "The route is 15 miles of pure mountain roads. Super dangerous. Hairpin turns, steep drops. My cousin said last year 3 people crashed." Minji felt something stir in her chest. She knew about the mountain race. Everyone who cared about motorcycles knew about it. It happened once a year, always in late October. The exact location was kept secret until a week before. Only registered riders got the information. The winner got respect. Real respect. The kind that did not care about age or gender or anything else. The winner also got $5,000. But the money was not the important part. The respect was everything. That evening, Minji stayed late at the garage. Her father had gone home for dinner, but she told him she wanted to keep working. He gave her the keys and told her not to stay too late. She promised she would not, but she was not really working on the bike. She was sitting on an old stool, staring at her grandfather's motorcycle. It was almost finished. Another week of work and it would be ready to ride. The engine was perfect. The frame was solid. The tires were new. She pulled out her phone and searched for information about the race. There was a website. It looked old and simple. The registration page was open. She read the rules carefully. All riders must be 18 years or older. She was only 17. Her birthday was in 2 months. But then she read the next line. Riders under 18 could enter with a parent's written permission. Her finger hovered over the screen. Could she really do this? Race against experienced riders, some of them twice her age? The Chrome riders would definitely be racing. Taeyang would laugh at her even more if she failed. But what if she did not fail? Minji stood up and walked around the motorcycle. She had rebuilt this engine with her own hands. She knew every part of this bike. She had studied motorcycle racing for years, watching videos, reading books. She knew the theory. But theory and real racing were different things. She sat back down and filled out the registration form. Her hands moved before her brain could tell them to stop. Name, age, emergency contact. She took a photo of her father's signed permission note that he had given her years ago for another event. It would work for this too. At the bottom of the form there was a question. Why do you want to race? Minji thought for a long moment. Then she typed, to prove that skill matters more than anything else. She hit submit before she could change her mind. The next morning, Taeyang and his friends came back to the garage. Minji was outside, sweeping the front area. She saw them coming and her stomach tightened. Taeyang's motorcycle sounded worse than before. The ticking was now a loud knocking sound. Taeyang stopped right in front of her. He turned off his engine and the knocking sound echoed for a moment before dying away. He looked annoyed. My bike is making that sound again, he said. He said it like it was Minji's fault. I told you to fix it 3 days ago, Minji said calmly. Now it's worse. Whatever, Taeyang said. Is your dad here? He's out picking up parts, Minji said. I can look at it if you want, Doyun laughed. You? No thanks. We'll wait for a real mechanic. But Taeyang's bike made another loud knocking sound even though it was turned off. Something inside the engine was very wrong. Taeyang looked worried now. He had a race to prepare for. Fine, he said. Look at it. But if you mess anything up, you're paying for it. Minji put down her broom. She walked to his motorcycle and opened the side panel. She did not need tools yet. She just listened and looked. The knocking came from inside the engine. She touched the engine block carefully. It was too hot in one spot. You burned a valve, she said. Just like I said you would. You need a full valve replacement and probably some other work too. Taeyang's face turned red. How much will that cost? At least $800, Minji said. Maybe more. I need to take it apart to be sure. 800? Taeyang looked shocked. That's crazy. That's what happens when you ignore a problem, Minji said. She kept her voice neutral, not mean, just honest. Junho stepped forward. There's a shop downtown. They can probably do it cheaper. Sure, Minji said. She closed the side panel and stepped back. You can go there, but they'll tell you the same thing. A burned valve is a burned valve. Taeyang looked at his bike, then at Minji, then back at his bike. He was thinking about the race. Minji could see it in his eyes. He needed his bike fixed fast and fixed right. How long will it take? He asked. 3 days if I start today, Minji said. Maybe 4. And you can really fix it? His voice was different now. Less mocking. More desperate? Yes, Minji said simply. Taeyang looked at his friends. They did not look happy, but they did not say anything. Finally, Taeyang shook his head. Forget it. I'll take it downtown. Come on, guys. They started their bikes and rode away slowly. Taeyang's bike knocked and knocked with every turn of the engine. Minji watched them go. She knew they would be back. The downtown shop was expensive and slow. They would tell Taeyang the same thing she did, but they would charge him twice as much and take twice as long. She went back inside the garage. Her grandfather's motorcycle sat in the corner waiting. She had registered for the race last night. Now she needed to prepare. She had 3 weeks to get ready. That afternoon, Minji went to the library. She found maps of the mountain roads in the area. She studied them carefully. The race route was not officially published, but everyone knew it generally followed Ridge Mountain Road. She traced the path with her finger. 15 miles of curves, elevation changes, and danger. She took photos of the maps with her phone. That evening, after the garage closed, she rode her father's old training bike up to the mountains. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. She rode slowly, carefully, learning the roads. The curves were tight. Some of them turned back on themselves like snakes. The road surface was rough in places. There were spots where gravel had spread onto the pavement. If someone hit those spots while leaning into a turn, they would slide out and crash. Minji made mental notes of everything. She came back the next evening and the evening after that. Each time she rode a little faster. She learned where to brake and where to accelerate. She learned which curves were safe and which ones were tricky. On the fourth evening, she took her grandfather's motorcycle. It was the first time she had ridden it since finishing the restoration. The engine started on the first try. It sounded perfect, strong and smooth and powerful. She rode it up the mountain road. The bike handled like a dream. It was lighter than modern bikes, but stable. The old engineering was simple but effective. Her grandfather had known what he was doing when he built this machine. At school the next day, the talk was all about the race. More people had registered. The list of riders was posted online. Minji checked it during lunch. There were 53 registered riders. She was listed as M. Park on the roster. No one knew who that was. The Chrome riders were listed too. Taeyang Kim, Doyun Lee, Junho Choi. They had all registered. Minji felt her heart beat faster. She would be racing against them, against everyone who had ever doubted her. That afternoon, Taeyang came back to the garage. He came alone this time. His bike sounded terrible. He looked embarrassed. The downtown shop wants $1,200 and a week to fix it, he said. He did not look at Minji when he spoke. I told you 803 days, Minji said. Taeyang was quiet for a moment. Then he said, can you still do it? I need it ready for the race. Minji looked at him. He was trying to be polite now, but she could see it was hard for him. His pride was hurt. He had to come back and ask the little girl for help. I can do it, she said. But you have to trust me to do it right. No questions, no complaints, Taeyang nodded. Fine, just make it fast. He left his bike at the garage and called his friend to pick him up. After he left, Minji's father came out of the office. He had heard everything. You know he's going to be in that race, her father said. I know, Minji said. You're entering too, aren't you? Her father's voice was not angry. Just curious, Minji nodded. She had not told him yet, but he knew her too well. Her father walked over and looked at Taeyang's broken motorcycle. Then he looked at the restored vintage bike in the corner. Then he looked at his daughter. Your grandfather would be proud, he said quietly. Not just because you can fix bikes, but because you know who you are. He went back to the office. Minji stood in the garage, surrounded by tools and motorcycles and possibility. In 3 weeks, everything would change. Minji woke up at 5 in the morning. The sky outside her window was still dark. She got dressed quietly so she would not wake her younger brother, Jihoon. He was 13 and slept in the room next to hers. The walls were thin and he complained when she woke him up early. She went downstairs. Her father was already in the kitchen making coffee. He looked up when she came in. Riding this morning? He asked. Yes, Minji said. She grabbed a banana and a bottle of water from the refrigerator. Her father handed her a travel mug of coffee. Be careful on those mountain roads. They're dangerous in the dark. I will, Minji promised. She drove her father's old truck to the base of Ridge Mountain. Her grandfather's motorcycle was in the back, tied down carefully. When she reached the empty parking area, she unloaded the bike. The air was cold and fresh. She could see her breath in the darkness. She put on her helmet and started the engine. The sound echoed off the mountains. Then she rode up into the darkness, her headlight cutting through the black. Every morning for 2 weeks she did this. She rode the mountain roads before school. She memorized every curve, every dip, every rough patch of pavement. She learned the roads in darkness and in light. She learned them in dry weather and in rain. On the 12th morning, she was taking a tight hairpin turn when a deer jumped onto the road. Minji's heart stopped. She squeezed the brakes carefully, not too hard, just enough. The bike slowed smoothly. The deer looked at her with wide eyes, then bounded into the trees. Minji's hands were shaking as she continued riding. That was when she understood. The race was not just about speed or skill. It was about staying calm when things went wrong. It was about making the right choice in a split second. At school, rumors were spreading. Everyone was talking about the race. The mystery rider named M. Park was a topic of discussion. People wondered who it was. Some students guessed it was a college student. Others thought it might be someone from out of town. Minji listened to all of this and said nothing. She sat in her classes and took notes. She ate lunch alone. She kept her secret locked inside her chest like a treasure. But secrets have a way of escaping. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Minji was in the garage working on Taeyang's motorcycle. She had replaced the burned valve and was now fine-tuning the timing. The bike was almost ready. It would be finished by tomorrow ahead of schedule. Her brother Jihoon came into the garage after school. He was carrying his backpack and eating chips. He watched Minji work for a few minutes. "Is that Taeyang Kim's bike?" he asked. "Yes," Minji said. She did not look up from her work. "He's such a jerk," Jihoon said. "He thinks he's so cool because his dad is rich." "Don't talk like that," Minji said. But she secretly agreed. Jihoon sat on an old tire and ate his chips. "Everyone at my school is talking about the race. Some of the older kids are going to watch." Minji's hands paused for just a second. Then she continued working. "Are you really going to race?" Jihoon asked. Minji looked at him. "How do you know about that?" "I heard you and Dad talking last week," Jihoon said. "You left the office door open. Don't tell anyone," Minji said firmly. "I'm serious, Jihoon. I won't," he promised. He ate another chip. "I think it's cool. You're going to beat all those guys who think they're so tough." Minji smiled despite herself. "Maybe if I don't crash first." "You won't crash," Jihoon said with complete confidence. "You're the best rider I know." But Jihoon was 13. He did not understand how hard it was to keep secrets. The next day at his school, he was talking with his friends. They were discussing the race. One of his friends said girls could not ride motorcycles as well as boys. "That's not true," Jihoon said before he could stop himself. "My sister is racing and she's better than most guys." His friends laughed. "Your sister? The one who works in that garage?" "No way. Yes way," Jihoon said. His pride in his sister was stronger than his promise to keep quiet. "She's M. Park on the registration list. She built her own racing bike from scratch." The news spread like fire in dry grass. By the afternoon, students at the high school were talking about it. By evening, the Chrome Riders had heard. Minji was closing up the garage when they arrived. All four of them. Taeyang, Dohyun, Junho, and Seungmin. They parked their bikes in front and walked in. They were all smiling, but not in a friendly way. "So," Taeyang said, "we heard an interesting rumor today." Minji kept wiping down her tools. "What rumor?" "That you're Monsieur Park," Dohyun said. "That you registered for the race." Junho pulled out his phone. He was recording. "This is going to be great content," he said. "Girl mechanic thinks she can race with real riders." Minji put down her cloth. She looked at all four of them. Her heart was beating fast, but her voice was steady. "Yes, I'm racing," they all laughed. Seungmin laughed so hard he had to lean against a workbench. "You're serious? You actually think you can compete?" "I know I can," Minji said. Taeyang walked closer. He looked at her grandfather's motorcycle in the corner. The bike was polished and perfect, ready to race. He walked around it, examining it. "This is your race bike?" he asked. "This old thing?" "This old thing is faster than you think," Minji said. "It's a vintage bike," Taeyang said. "It can't compete with modern machines. My bike has electronic fuel injection, advanced suspension, racing tires. What does this have? Carburetors and old technology." "Sometimes old technology is better," Minji said. "It's simpler, easier to control, more reliable." Dohyun was recording everything on his phone too now. Both phones pointed at her like weapons. "This is going to go viral," he said. "Everyone is going to see this." Taeyang stood in front of Minji. He was taller than her and used his height to try to intimidate her. "Listen," he said. "That race is dangerous. People get hurt. You could crash and end up in the hospital. Why don't you just stay home where it's safe?" "Because I'm a good rider," Minji said. "Better than you think, better than me?" Taeyang's smile got bigger. "Okay, let's make this interesting." He pulled out his phone and typed something. Then he held it up so everyone could see. He was posting on social media. Minji saw her name, her photo from school, and the words about the race. "Here's the deal," Taeyang said as he typed. "If you finish in the top 10, I'll make a public apology. I'll admit that I was wrong about you. I'll post it everywhere. And if I don't?" Minji asked, even though she did not want to know. "If you don't finish top 10 or if you drop out, you stop working on motorcycles," Taeyang said. "No more garage. No more acting like you know what you're doing. You admit that bikes are not for girls. That's not fair," Minji said. Her voice rose for the first time. "That's my family's business. My life." "Then don't take the bet," Taeyang said. He was still smiling. "Just drop out of the race. Admit you can't do it and save yourself the embarrassment." Minji felt anger burning in her chest. She wanted to yell at him. She wanted to tell him exactly what she thought of him and his stupid friends with their phones out, recording everything like it was entertainment. But then she remembered her father's words, "Let your work speak for itself." And she remembered her grandfather's words that her father had told her. Words that had been passed down. The bike does not care about ego. It only responds to skill and respect. She looked at Taiyang. She looked at his friends. She looked at the phones recording her. Then she looked at her grandfather's motorcycle. The bike she had rebuilt with her own hands. The bike that purred like a cat when it ran. The bike that had never let her down. "Okay," she said quietly. "I accept your bet." The garage went silent. Taiyang had not expected her to agree. He had expected her to back down. His smile faltered for just a second, then came back stronger. "You're serious?" he asked. "Completely serious," Minji said. "Top 10 or I quit." "Those are the terms." Taiyang held out his hand. "Then we have a deal." Minji shook his hand. His grip was too tight, trying to hurt her. She did not react. She just looked him in the eye until he let go. "This is amazing," Junho said, still recording. "Everyone is going to watch this race now." "She's going to fail so bad," Do-hyun said. "We'll see," Minji said. The Chrome Riders left, laughing and talking loudly. After they were gone, Minji sat down on the old stool. Her legs felt weak. What had she just done? She had bet everything on one race. If she failed, she would lose the thing she loved most. Her father came out of the office. He had heard everything. "You didn't have to take that bet," he said softly. "Yes, I did," Minji said. "If I had backed down, everyone would think they were right about me. That I'm just playing with tools. That I don't belong here." Her father nodded slowly. "You know what this means? You can't just finish. You need to place in the top 10 out of 50 riders. Many of them have been racing for years." "I know," Minji said. "You could get hurt," her father said. "The race is dangerous." "I know that too," Minji said. Her father looked at her for a long moment. Then he went to the back of the garage and opened a storage closet. He pulled out a box that was covered in dust. He brought it to Minji and opened it. Inside was racing gear. A leather jacket with padding, gloves, boots, all of it old but well-maintained. "This was your grandfather's racing gear," her father said. "He wore it when he raced in his 20s, before he had me, before he settled down and opened this garage." Minji touched the leather jacket. It was soft and worn in some places. "He would want you to wear it," her father said. "He would want you to race. But more than that, he would want you to be smart, to be careful, to come home safe." "I will," Minji promised. Her father helped her try on the jacket. It fit almost perfectly. The boots were a little big, but she could wear thick socks. The gloves were perfect now, her father said. "Let's make sure that bike is absolutely perfect. We have 1 week until the race. Let's use it well." For the next 7 days, Minji and her father worked together. They checked every bolt, every wire, every connection. They tuned the engine until it sang. They adjusted the suspension. They tested the brakes again and again. At school, everyone stared at Minji. The story had spread everywhere. Students she had never spoken to came up to her in the hallways. Some wished her good luck. Others laughed and made jokes. She ignored all of it. Jihoon apologized 100 times for telling the secret. Minji forgave him. It would have come out eventually anyway. 3 days before the race, Taeyang came to pick up his motorcycle. Minji had finished the repairs. The bike ran perfectly now, better than it had in months. Taeyang tested it in the parking lot. He revved the engine and listened. The knocking sound was gone. The power was back. He looked surprised. "You actually fixed it," he said. "I told you I would," Minji said. He paid her the $800 in cash. As he was leaving, he turned back. "I hope you're ready for Saturday," he said. "Because I'm not going easy on you just because you're a girl." "I don't want you to go easy," Minji said. "I want you to race your best. So when I beat you, you'll know it was fair." Taeyang's face turned red. He got on his bike and rode away without another word. Saturday came with dark clouds in the sky. Minji could not eat breakfast. Her stomach felt like it was full of butterflies. She sat at the kitchen table and stared at a piece of toast. Her mother put a hand on her shoulder. "You need to eat something," her mother said gently. "You'll need energy for today." Minji forced herself to eat half the toast and drink some orange juice. Her father was already outside loading the truck. Her mother kissed her forehead. "Be safe," she said. "That's all I care about. I don't care if you win or lose. Just come home safe." "I will, Mom," Minji said. Jihoon came downstairs still in his pajamas. "Can I come watch?" he asked. "No," their father said from the doorway. "It's too dangerous for spectators on the mountain roads. But we'll record it. Some of the racers have cameras on their bikes." The ride to the starting point took 40 minutes. The location had been announced 3 days ago. It was a large cleared area at the base of Ridge Mountain. Usually it was empty, but today it was filled with motorcycles and people. Minji counted the bikes as her father drove past them. There were so many. Big racing bikes with bright colors, custom bikes with chrome parts, older bikes like hers, but also brand new machines that cost more than a car. Her father parked the truck at the edge of the clearing. They unloaded her grandfather's motorcycle together. Minji's hands were shaking slightly as she checked everything one last time. Oil level good. Tire pressure perfect. Brakes working smoothly. She put on her grandfather's racing jacket. Then the gloves. Then the boots. Finally, she picked up her helmet. It was black with a simple design. Nothing fancy, but it fit her perfectly and it was safe. "Remember what we practiced," her father said. "Stay smooth. Don't push too hard too early. Save energy for the difficult sections. And if anything feels wrong, if the bike makes any strange sound, you pull over. I don't care about the race. Your safety comes first." "I know, Dad," Minji said. She hugged him. He hugged her back tightly. "I'm proud of you," he whispered. "No matter what happens today, I'm proud of you." Minji felt tears start to form in her eyes. She blinked them away. She had to focus now. She had to be strong. She walked her motorcycle toward the registration area. All around her, riders were preparing. Some were stretching. Others were checking their bikes. A few were talking in groups, laughing and joking. The energy in the air was electric. At the registration table, a woman with gray hair checked her name. "Monsieur Park," the woman said. She looked up at Minji. Her eyes widened slightly. "You're young. 18 next month," Minji said. "I have parental permission." The woman checked her paperwork. Everything was in order. She gave Minji a number card to attach to her bike. "Number 23. "Your starting position is 23, the woman said. "That's mid-pack. Good luck out there. Be careful." "Thank you," Minji said. She attached the number to her bike and rolled it toward the starting area. That's when she saw the chrome riders. They were in a group near the front. Their bikes were all lined up. Taeyang saw her and pointed. His friends turned to look. They all started laughing. Yunyo pulled out his phone immediately. Minji saw him start a live stream. He pointed the camera at her and said something. She could not hear the words, but she could imagine them. Other riders noticed her too. Some stared openly. A few whispered to each other. She heard snippets of conversation. "That's a girl. How old is she? Is that bike vintage?" Minji kept her head up and her expression calm. She walked her motorcycle to position 23. She put down the kickstand and stood next to her bike. An older man rolled his motorcycle into position 24, right next to her. He was maybe 60 years old with a weathered face and kind eyes. His bike was beautiful. It was restored perfectly, similar to hers, but a different model. "That's a nice machine," the man said, looking at her bike. "1970s cafe racer?" "Yes," Minji said. "My grandfather built it." "He did good work," the man said. He held out his hand. "I'm Daejin Choi. Everyone calls me Mr. Choi." Minji shook his hand. "Minji Park. First time racing?" Mr. Choi asked. "Yes," Minji admitted. Mr. Choi nodded. "Thought so. You've got that nervous look." "Don't worry. Everyone is nervous their first time. The trick is to use that nervous energy. Let it sharpen your focus instead of clouding it." "How many times have you raced?" Minji asked. "This will be my 23rd mountain race," Mr. Choi said. "I finished in the top 5 11 times. Won twice. But that was years ago when I was younger and faster." "You still look fast," Minji said. Mr. Choi laughed. "You're kind. Just remember out there, the mountain doesn't care about your ego or your pride. It only cares if you respect it. Ride smart and you'll be fine." More riders filled in the starting positions. Minji looked at the competition. Most of them were men in their 20s and 30s. A few were older, like Mr. Choi. She did not see any other women. Position 7 filled up. It was Taeyang. His bike gleamed in the morning light. It was perfect and expensive and powerful. He revved his engine loudly several times, showing off. Black smoke coughed out of his exhaust. Minji frowned. That smoke meant his engine was running too rich. Too much fuel, not enough air. It would waste gas and reduce power. She wondered if the expensive downtown shop had actually fixed his bike properly. A man with a megaphone climbed onto a platform. He was the race organizer. Everyone got quiet. "Welcome to the 28th Annual Ridge Mountain Race," he announced. His voice boomed across the clearing. "We have 53 riders registered today. The route is 15 miles of mountain road. You'll climb 2,000 feet in elevation, navigate 47 turns, and descend back to the valley." He paused and looked at all the riders. "This is a dangerous race. Every year people crash. Every year people get hurt. If you're not ready, drop out now. No one will think less of you." No one moved. No one dropped out. "The rules are simple," the race organizer continued. "No deliberately blocking other riders. No contact between bikes. If you crash or break down, get off the road so you don't cause more accidents. If you see a rider down and injured, stop and help. Racing is important, but life is more important." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. "Medical teams are stationed at 3 points along the route," he said. "We have spotters with radios at every major turn. If something goes wrong, help will come fast. But still, ride smart. Ride safe." He held up a red flag. "When I drop this flag, the race begins. Starting positions were assigned by lottery. Front row goes first, obviously. Hang back until there's space, then go when you're ready. Don't cause a pileup at the start." Riders started putting on their helmets. Minji did the same. The world became slightly muffled. She could hear her own breathing inside the helmet. It was loud and fast. She got on her bike. The seat was familiar under her. She had sat on this bike hundreds of times over the past months. She knew every inch of it. She started the engine. It roared to life perfectly. All around her, other engines started. The sound was incredible. 53 motorcycles all running at once. The ground vibrated. The air filled with the smell of gasoline and exhaust. Minji looked to her left. Mr. Choi gave her a thumbs up. She returned it. She looked forward. Taeyang was in position 7 near the front. She could see him looking back, searching for her. When he found her, he made a mocking gesture. His friends laughed. Yunyo was still recording everything on his phone. The live stream was probably getting hundreds of viewers. Thousands, maybe. Everyone watching to see the girl mechanic fail. Minji took a deep breath. She let it out slowly. She thought about all the early mornings riding these roads. All the hours in the garage. All the knowledge passed down from her grandfather to her father to her. She thought about every person who had laughed at her. Every person who had told her that motorcycles were not for girls. Every person who had assumed she did not know what she was doing. Today she would show them. The race organizer raised the red flag high. The clearing went silent except for the rumble of engines. Even that sound seemed to get quieter as everyone focused. Minji's heart pounded. Her hands gripped the handlebars. Her right hand rested on the throttle, ready. The flag went up higher. Time seemed to slow down. Minji could see every detail. The gray clouds above. The green trees surrounding the clearing. The other riders tense and ready. Her father somewhere in the crowd watching and praying. The red flag dropped. The front row exploded forward. Engines roared. Tires spun. The race had begun. Row by row, riders launched themselves toward the mountain road. The sound was like thunder. Minji watched position 7 disappear into the crowd. Taeyang was gone, racing ahead. Position 15 went. Position 20 went. Now it was her turn. Minji released the clutch and twisted the throttle. Her grandfather's motorcycle jumped forward like a living thing. The acceleration pushed her back in the seat. The wind hit her helmet. She was racing. The road stretched ahead, winding up into the mountains. Other riders surrounded her, all fighting for position. The race had begun, and there was no turning back now. Minji shifted into second gear, then third. The bike responded beautifully. Every control was perfect. Every movement was smooth. She passed position 25, then position 27. The riders ahead were visible, their bikes leaning into the first curve. Minji leaned into the curve too. She felt the bike shift underneath her. The tires gripped the road. She came out of the curve clean and accelerated hard. Position 30 was ahead, struggling slightly. Minji saw her opening and took it. She passed on the outside of the next curve, smooth and confident. The mountain road climbed ahead. 15 miles of challenge awaited. 52 other riders wanted to beat her. But Minji was not thinking about them anymore. She was thinking about the road, about the bike, about the rhythm of racing. She shifted into fourth gear and the engine sang. Her grandfather's motorcycle carried her forward, up into the mountains toward whatever would come next. Behind her, at the starting line, her father watched until she disappeared from sight. He was praying she would be safe, praying she would succeed, but mostly just praying she would come back to him in one piece. The race was on. The first mile was chaos. Riders bunched together, everyone trying to find their position. Minji stayed calm and focused. She did not try to pass aggressively. She waited for the right moments. A rider ahead of her took a curve too fast. His bike wobbled, but he recovered. Minji made a note. That rider was nervous and pushing too hard. He would probably crash or burn out before the halfway point. The road began to climb more steeply. This was where engine power mattered. Some of the bikes surged ahead with their modern technology and strong engines, but Minji's bike had something special. It was light, much lighter than the newer bikes with all their heavy electronics and features. On the hills, weight mattered as much as power. Her bike climbed smoothly. She passed two riders who were struggling with the grade. Their engines were powerful, but their bikes were heavy. They could not maintain speed going uphill. Mile 2. Minji checked her position by counting the riders she could see ahead. She had moved up to position 18, not bad, but she needed to be in the top 10. She had 8 more riders to pass. The road widened slightly. This was her chance. Minji downshifted and accelerated. The bike responded instantly. She passed position 19 on a straight section. The rider did not even try to block her. He was saving energy for later. Mile 3. The real mountain section began. The curves got tighter. The road got narrower. This was where skill mattered more than power. Minji had ridden this road dozens of times in practice. She knew where the pavement was smooth and where it was rough. She knew which curves had gravel on the inside and which were clean. She knew where to brake and where to accelerate. A sharp hairpin turn appeared ahead. Minji braked at exactly the right moment. She leaned the bike over, her knee almost touching the ground. The bike carved through the turn perfectly. She accelerated out of it smoothly. Behind her, she heard a screech of tires. Someone had braked too late and slid wide. She did not look back. Looking back would break her concentration. Position 17 was ahead. It was Seungmin, one of Taeyang's friends. His bike was expensive and fast, but he was not a great rider. He took the next curve too carefully, braking too much. Minji saw her opening. She stayed on the throttle longer and took the inside line. She passed him cleanly. As she went by, she saw his surprised face through his helmet visor. Mile 4. The road got even steeper. The trees pressed close on both sides. Shadows made it hard to see. Minji relied on her memory of the route. She knew what was coming even when she could not see it clearly. A long left curve appeared, then immediately a tight right curve. This combination was tricky. Most riders would brake for both curves. But Minji had learned in practice that if you carried enough speed through the left curve, you could use that momentum for the right curve without losing time. She committed to the line. Left, lean hard, then immediately right, lean harder. Her heart pounded. For a moment she thought she had made a mistake. But then the bike came through perfectly and she was accelerating away. Position 16 fell behind. She had passed another rider without even trying. He had been too cautious on that curve combination mile 5. Minji was breathing hard now. The concentration was exhausting. Every second she had to make decisions. Brake here, accelerate there. Which line through this curve? Ahead she saw a cluster of 3 riders. Positions 13, 14, and 15. They were racing together, blocking each other from passing. This was her chance to pass all 3 at once. But she had to be smart. The road ahead had a series of S-curves. Fast left, then fast right, then fast left again. It was like a snake. Minji waited until the first S-curve. The 3 riders ahead bunched up, each trying not to hit the others. They all slowed down too much because they were worried about each other. Minji took the outside line. It was longer, but it was clearer. She carried more speed because she did not have to worry about other bikes. She came through the S-curves like a rocket, and suddenly she was past all 3 riders. Position 12 now. She was getting close to the top 10. Just 2 more riders to pass mile 6. Something changed. She felt a few drops of rain on her visor, then a few more. The clouds that had been threatening all morning were finally releasing their water. This was bad. Rain made the road slippery. It reduced visibility. It made braking distances longer. Many riders would slow down dramatically in the rain, but Minji had practiced in the rain. She knew how the bike handled on wet roads. She knew how to brake smoothly without the wheels locking up. She knew how to lean carefully, trusting the tires. The rain got heavier. Now it was a steady drizzle. Minji's visor started to blur with water. She had to turn her head slightly to see through the drops. Ahead, she saw position 11 riding very slowly. The rider was scared of the rain. He took each curve like it was covered in ice. Minji passed him easily on a straight section. Position 11 now. One more to reach the top 10. One more to win her bet. One more to prove everyone wrong. But who was in position 10? Minji could not see clearly through the rain. She rode harder, trying to catch up. Mile 7. The rain began to ease slightly. Not stopping, just becoming lighter. Visibility improved, and then Minji saw who was ahead. Position 10 was Do-hyun, another one of Taeyang's friends. He had a fast bike and he was a decent rider, but he was also reckless. Minji watched him take the next curve. He went in too hot and had to brake hard mid-curve. His rear tire slipped slightly on the wet pavement. He recovered but lost speed. She could pass him. She knew she could. But she had to be careful. If she made a mistake now, she could crash. All her work would be for nothing. The road climbed toward the highest point of the route. This was mile 8. From here, the road would start descending back down the other side of the mountain. Do-hyun's bike smoked slightly from the exhaust. He was pushing his engine too hard, burning too much fuel. His bike would start to lose power soon from overheating. A series of hairpin turns approached. This was Minji's chance. Hairpins required precision, not power. They required knowing the exact right moment to brake and the exact right moment to accelerate. The first hairpin. Do-hyun braked early and took it wide. Minji braked later and took it tight. She gained 3 bike lengths. The second hairpin. Do-hyun was getting nervous. She could see it in how he rode. He braked even earlier. Minji stayed smooth and gained more ground. The third hairpin. Minji was right behind him now. She could see the number on his bike. Number 34. She could see his helmet turning slightly, checking his mirrors. He knew she was there. The fourth hairpin. This was it. Minji positioned herself on the inside line. Do-hyun took the outside. She braked perfectly, leaned hard, and came through the turn ahead of him. Position 10. She was in the top 10. She had done it, but the race was not over. There were still 7 miles to go. And Minji realized something. She did not just want to finish in the top 10. She wanted to finish as high as possible. She wanted to show everyone exactly what she could do. Mile 9. The descent began. This was the most dangerous part of the race. Going downhill at high speed, the brakes got hot. The tires got stressed. One mistake and a rider would fly off the road into the trees. Minji saw position 9 ahead. She did not recognize the rider, but his bike was a classic racing model. He was good. He knew how to handle the descent, but Minji was better. She had practiced this descent over and over. She knew where the road dipped and where it rose. She knew where the drainage was good and where water pooled even after the rain stopped. She closed the gap. Position 9 rode conservatively on the descent. Minji rode aggressively but smart. There was a difference between aggressive and reckless. Aggressive meant pushing the limits of what was possible. Reckless meant going beyond those limits. A long, sweeping left curve appeared. This was a fast curve. You could take it at nearly full speed if you trusted your tires and your skill. Position 9 braked slightly. Minji did not brake at all. She leaned into the curve and felt the bike stick to the road like it was glued there. She came out of the curve ahead, position 9 now, mile 10. Minji was breathing very hard. Her arms were getting tired from gripping the handlebars. Her legs were tired from holding her body position. But she could not stop now. Not when she was this close. She saw more riders ahead, a group of 4 bikes. This was the leading pack, positions 5, 6, 7, and 8. And in position 7 she recognized the bike Taeyang, his expensive machine, was running rough. She could hear it even over the sound of her own engine. The smoke from earlier was worse now. His bike was overheating. The expensive downtown shop had not fixed his problems at all. They had just covered them up temporarily. Mile 11. The descent got steeper. The curves got tighter. This was technical riding at its finest. Every decision had to be perfect. Taeyang's bike coughed. Black smoke puffed out. He was losing power. Minji came up behind him fast. He saw her. Even through the helmets and visors, their eyes met. His eyes were wide with shock. He had never expected her to get this far. He had never believed she could actually race. The next curve was a sharp right followed by an immediate left. Taeyang took the right curve too carefully. His bike was struggling and he did not trust it anymore. Minji took the right curve perfectly. Then the left curve. She passed him cleanly and pulled ahead. She did not look back, but she imagined his face. The shock, the disbelief, the realization that he had been wrong about her. Position 7 now, mile 12. Only 3 miles left. The road ahead had the famous section. 3 hairpin turns that went back and forth like a switchback trail. They were called the snake turns. They were the most photographed part of the race route. Positions 5 and 6 were ahead. Minji did not know who they were, but they were fast. Really fast. They had been racing for years. They knew every trick. The snake turns approached. The first hairpin was so tight it was almost 180 degrees. The second was slightly less tight. The third was the tightest of all. Position 6 took the first turn wide. Position 5 took it tight. Minji took it tighter than both of them. She gained ground. The second turn. Position 6 made a mistake. He braked too hard and his rear tire locked up for a second. He slid slightly and had to put his foot down to keep from falling. He lost several seconds. Minji passed him cleanly. Position 6 now, the third turn. This was the tightest one. Almost a U-turn. Position 5 took it perfectly, but Minji took it just as perfectly. They came out of the turn side by side, their bikes only inches apart. They raced down the straight section together. Position 5 glanced over at her. She could not see his face, but she imagined his surprise. A teenage girl on a vintage bike keeping pace with him. Mile 13. The road leveled out. This section was faster. More about speed and power, less about technical skill. Position 5's bike had more power than hers. He began to pull ahead, but then Position 4 appeared ahead. He was struggling on this section. His bike was fast in the turns, but not as fast on the straights. This was Minji's chance. She and Position 5 worked together without planning it. They both passed Position 4 at the same time, one on each side. Position 4 fell back. Minji was now in Position 5, only 4 riders ahead of her. And 2 miles to go, mile 14. Her arms felt like they were on fire. Her hands were cramping from gripping so hard. Her back hurt from the riding position. But she could not stop, not now. Not when she was this close to something amazing. Ahead she saw the leading 3 riders. Positions 2, 3, and 4, no wait. Position 4 had just fallen back. She had passed him. That meant the 3 riders ahead were Positions 2, 3, and the leader in Position 1. The leader was Mr. Choi, the kind older man who had wished her luck at the start. He was riding beautifully, smooth and fast and smart. Years of experience showed in every movement. Position 2 was someone named Youngwoo. She had seen his name on the registration list. He was a well-known racer with many wins. Position 3 was someone she did not know, but his bike was fast and he was riding aggressively. Mile 15. The final mile. The rain had stopped completely now. The road was drying. The finish line was somewhere ahead, still out of sight but getting closer with every second. Position 3 tried to pass Jungwoo in Position 2. They battled for the position. They were so focused on each other that they both slowed down. Minji saw her chance. She went wide around both of them. For a moment she was on the edge of the road, her tires on the white line. But she made it through and suddenly she was in Position 3, third place. She was in third place. Ahead, Mr. Choi and Youngwoo were battling for first. They were both incredible riders. They knew every trick in the book. The finish line appeared in the distance. She could see the banner. She could see the crowd of people waiting. Jungwoo made his move. He tried to pass Mr. Choi on a fast curve, but he took it too aggressively. His bike leaned too far. His tire caught a patch of gravel on the edge of the road. Jungwoo slid. Not badly. He did not crash, but he had to slow down dramatically to recover. He fell back to Position 6 in seconds. Now it was just Minji and Mr. Choi racing for first place. The teenage girl and the old veteran. The restored vintage bikes running side by side. The final curve approached. A long sweeping right turn that led directly to the finish line. Mr. Choi took the inside line. Minji took the outside. They leaned into the curve together. The bike engine screamed. The tires gripped the pavement. Coming out of the curve, they were still side by side. The finish line was 300 feet ahead. 200 feet. 100 feet. Mr. Choi's bike edged ahead. Just slightly, just half a bike length, but it was enough. He crossed the finish line first. Minji crossed it half a second later. Second place. She had finished second in her first race ever. The crowd erupted in cheers. Minji eased off the throttle and slowed down. Her whole body was shaking. From exhaustion. From adrenaline. From emotions she could not even name. She pulled her bike to the side and stopped. She put down the kickstand and got off. Her legs almost gave out. She grabbed the bike to steady herself. Mr. Choi rolled up next to her. He took off his helmet. He was smiling so wide that his whole face crinkled. "That was the best race I've had in 10 years, he said. His voice was full of joy. "You kid are the real deal." Minji took off her helmet. Her face was wet with sweat and maybe some tears. She did not know when she had started crying. "I almost beat you," she said. Her voice was shaky. "Almost," Mr. Choi agreed. "Next time, maybe you will. But today, second place is nothing to be ashamed of." "Look around." Minji looked. The other riders were crossing the finish line. One by one they arrived. Position 3, 4, 5, 6, and then much later more riders, including Taeyang in position 18, his bike barely running, smoke pouring from the exhaust. "You beat 41 riders," Mr. Choi said, "including a bunch of guys who thought you couldn't do it." "I'd say that's a pretty good day." Minji started to laugh. She could not help it. She had done it. She had really done it. The crowd at the finish line was huge. More people had come to watch than Minji expected. They pressed close, trying to see the riders. Camera phones were everywhere, recording everything. Minji pushed her motorcycle toward the designated winners area. Her arms felt like rubber. Each step was difficult, but she kept her head high and her expression calm. She had earned this moment. The race organizer was already setting up the podium. It was a simple wooden platform with 3 levels. First place was highest. Second place was to the right, slightly lower. Third place was to the left, even lower. Mr. Choi was already standing on the first place platform. He waved to the crowd. People cheered for him. He was a favorite. Everyone knew him and respected him. Minji climbed onto the second place platform. The moment her feet touched the wood, the crowd's noise changed. The cheering got louder. Mixed with the cheering were gasps and surprised shouts. "It's a girl. She's so young. That's the mechanic's daughter." She got second place. Youngwoo climbed onto the third place platform. He had recovered from his slide and finished strong. He looked at Minji with respect. He nodded to her. She nodded back. The race organizer took the megaphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, your top 3 finishers." In first place, with a time of 31 minutes and 42 seconds, veteran racer Daejin Choi. The crowd roared. Mr. Choi raised his arms in victory. He had won this race twice before, but each win was special. In second place, the organizer continued, with a time of 31 minutes and 43 seconds. In her very first race, 17-year-old Minji Park, the crowd went crazy. The noise was deafening. People were cheering and whistling. Some were clapping so hard their hands must have hurt. Minji felt her face get hot. She was not used to this kind of attention. "This is historic," the organizer said. His voice was full of excitement. "Minji Park is not only the youngest rider to ever place in the top 3, she is the first woman to ever place in the top 5 in this race's 28-year history." More cheering. Minji saw her father pushing through the crowd. His face was wet with tears. He was crying and laughing at the same time. When he reached her, she jumped off the platform and hugged him. "You did it," he said into her hair. "Your grandfather would be so proud. I'm so proud." "I couldn't have done it without you, Dad," Minji said. "All those early mornings helping me. All the advice. All the support." Her mother and Jihoon appeared next. Her mother was crying too. She held Minji's face in her hands and kissed her forehead over and over. Jihoon was grinning like crazy. "That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. You passed like 20 guys, and you beat Taeyang so bad." The mention of Taeyang made Minji remember. She looked around the crowd. Where was he? Where were the Chrome Riders? She spotted them near the back. All 4 of them stood together. Taeyang's bike was smoking even though it was turned off. His face was red, maybe from heat, maybe from embarrassment. The awards ceremony continued. Mr. Choi received a trophy and a check for $5,000. Minji received a smaller trophy and a check for $2,000. Youngwoo received an even smaller trophy and a check for $1,000. But the money did not matter to Minji. The trophy did not matter either. What mattered was the respect. The looks on people's faces, the way other riders came up to congratulate her, the way everyone now knew her name. After the ceremony, many people wanted to talk to her. Reporters from local news, bloggers who covered motorcycle racing, other riders who wanted to know about her bike and her training. One reporter asked, "How does it feel to be the first woman to place in the top 5? Minji thought about her answer carefully. "It feels good," she said. "But I hope I'm not the last. I hope other girls see this and realize they can race too. They can work on motorcycles too. They can do anything if they work hard and learn the skills." Another reporter asked, "What will you do with the prize money?" "Put it toward college," Minji said, "and maybe buy some new tools for the garage." The reporters loved that answer. They scribbled in their notebooks and typed on their phones. Junho approached with his phone out, still recording. But his expression was different now. Not mocking, almost respectful.
"Can I interview you for my social media?"
he asked. "Sure," Minji said. "How did you learn to ride like that?" Junho asked. "Practice," Minji said simply. "Lots and lots of practice. I rode those mountain roads every morning for 2 weeks. I studied every curve. I learned from my mistakes. And I had a great teacher in my father." "What about the people who said you couldn't do it?" Junho asked. Minji looked directly at the camera. "I think actions speak louder than words. I didn't argue with people who doubted me. I just showed them what I could do. That's always the best answer." Junho nodded and stopped recording. "That was good," he said quietly. "Really good. I'm sorry for, before, all the stuff we said." "Thanks," Minji said. She appreciated the apology, even if it was a little late. The crowd was starting to thin out. Some riders were loading their bikes to go home. Others were standing around talking, reliving the race. Minji saw Taeyang finally walking toward her. His friend stayed back. This was something he needed to do alone. He walked slowly, like his legs were tired. When he reached Minji, he stopped and looked at her for a long moment. "You won the bet," he said finally. His voice was quiet. "You got in the top 10. You got second place. So I owe you an apology." Minji waited. She did not make it easy for him, but she did not make it hard either. She just waited to see if he would really do it. Taeyang took a deep breath. "I was wrong about you. About everything. I thought you were just playing around in that garage. I thought girls couldn't really understand motorcycles. I thought racing was only for guys like me." He paused, then continued. "But I was wrong. You're a better rider than me. Your bike is better tuned than mine. You know more about engines than I probably ever will, and you earned your place in that race. You earned second place." The area around them got quiet. Other people had noticed what was happening. They were listening. "I'm sorry," Taeyang said. "For all the times I made fun of you. For all the times I didn't take you seriously. For the bet that tried to make you quit something you love. I was being a jerk because I was insecure. I couldn't handle the idea that someone I saw as beneath me might actually be better than me." Minji let his words sit in the air for a moment. Then she said, "Thank you for apologizing. That takes courage. And for what it's worth, your bike needs serious work. That rich fuel mixture is going to destroy your engine if you don't fix it soon." Taeyang almost smiled. "Will you fix it?" "Yes," Minji said. "Bring it by the garage on Monday. But this time, listen to what I tell you. I know what I'm doing." "I know you do," Taeyang said. "Everyone knows that now." He held out his hand. Minji shook it. This time, his grip was normal. Not too tight, not trying to prove anything. Just a handshake between two riders who respected each other. Taeyang walked back to his friends. Minji saw him pull out his phone. A minute later, her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Taeyang had posted on social media. The post had a photo of Minji on the second-place podium holding her trophy. The caption read, "I was completely wrong about Minji Park. She's not just a good mechanic and a good rider. She's an amazing mechanic and an amazing rider. Today she proved that skill and dedication matter more than anything else. I'm sorry for doubting her. Respect." The post was already getting hundreds of likes and comments. Minji put her phone away. She did not need social media validation, but it was nice that Taeyang kept his word. The sun was setting when Minji and her family finally loaded the motorcycle into the truck. Her father secured it carefully, making sure it would not shift during the drive home. "Are you going to race again?" her mother asked. Minji thought about it. The race had been exhausting, dangerous, stressful, but also exhilarating. Amazing. The best thing she had ever done. Yes, she said. I think I will. Good, Mr. Choi said. He had walked over to say goodbye. Because I want a rematch. You almost beat me today. Next time you might succeed. I need to stay sharp. Next time I will beat you, Minji said with a smile. Mr. Choi laughed. I believe you might. You've got something special, kid. Natural talent combined with hard work. That's a dangerous combination. He shook her hand one more time. Take care of that bike. And take care of yourself. The racing world needs more riders like you. The drive home was quiet. Minji sat in the back seat and looked out the window. The mountains passed by, dark against the evening sky. She had raced up those mountains and down again. She had pushed herself further than she thought possible. When they got home, Jahoon ran inside to tell all his friends what had happened. Her mother went to the kitchen to make a celebration dinner. Her father and Minji unloaded the motorcycle and rolled it into the garage. In the familiar space with the smell of oil and metal surrounding her, Minji felt at peace. This was where she belonged. This garage, these tools, these motorcycles that spoke a language she understood perfectly. Her father was looking at the trophy she had set on the workbench. The small golden cup gleamed in the garage lights. Your grandfather's bike brought you victory today, he said. His skill, his knowledge passed down through me to you. That's a powerful thing. I wish he could have seen it, Minji said. I think he did, her father said softly. Somehow I think he did. The next Monday, the garage was busier than it had ever been. People came from all over town to meet the girl who had placed second in the mountain race. Some brought their motorcycles for repairs. Others just wanted to talk to her, to ask questions, to understand how she did it. Taeyang brought his bike in early Monday morning. Minji spent 6 hours rebuilding his fuel system properly. When she was done, his bike ran better than it ever had. He paid her in cash and left a large tip. For the championship service, he said. Over the next few weeks, Minji's reputation grew. The local news did a story about her. Motorcycle magazines called for interviews. The garage got more business than they could handle. Her father had to hire an assistant to help with all the work. But the best part was not the attention or the business. The best part was the young girls who started showing up at the garage. They came with their fathers or brothers or by themselves. They asked if they could watch Minji work. They asked if she could teach them about motorcycles. Minji always said yes. She showed them how engines worked. She let them hold tools and help with simple repairs. She told them about the race and about her grandfather and about the importance of never giving up on something you love. One girl, maybe 10 years old, asked, "Did you ever want to quit? When people were mean to you?" Minji thought about it honestly. "Yes," she said. "Sometimes I wanted to quit. Sometimes it hurt when people laughed at me or didn't take me seriously. But then I remembered something my grandfather used to say." "What did he say?" the girl asked. "He said that the best way to answer doubters is to let your work speak for itself. Don't argue. Don't get angry. Just do what you do so well that nobody can deny it." The girl nodded seriously. "I want to be a mechanic too," she said. "Then learn," Minji said. "Read books. Watch videos. Ask questions, practice. And never let anyone tell you that you can't do something just because you're a girl. Being a girl has nothing to do with how well you can fix an engine or ride a motorcycle. Those skills don't care about gender. They only care about dedication and practice," the girl smiled. Her father, watching from nearby, had tears in his eyes. That evening, after the garage closed, Minji sat on the same old stool where she had sat after the Chrome Riders first mocked her. She looked at her grandfather's motorcycle. It was covered in dust from the race, mud and dirt on the tires and frame. She got a bucket of soapy water and a soft cloth. Carefully, lovingly, she began to clean the bike. Every part got attention. The chrome, the leather seat, the engine casing. She worked slowly, thinking about everything that had happened. Her father came out of the office and watched her work. "You know," he said, "when I gave you that bike, I wasn't sure you'd finish restoring it. It was a hard project, a lot of work. But I did finish it," Minji said. "Yes, you did," her father agreed. "And then you did something even more impressive. You took that restored bike and you raced it against people who had more experience, more expensive equipment, and more confidence. And you beat almost all of them." He sat down on another stool. "I've been thinking about what your grandfather would say if he was here. I think he'd say that he's proud, not just because you won second place, but because you proved something important. What's that? Minji asked. That respect isn't given. It's earned. And the best way to earn it is through undeniable skill. You could have argued with those boys. You could have yelled and complained and tried to force them to take you seriously, but instead you just showed them what you could do, and now nobody can deny it. Minji continued cleaning the bike. Her father was right. The Chrome Riders had learned their lesson. More importantly, everyone in town had learned. The girls who wanted to be mechanics had learned, and Minji herself had learned. She had learned that she was stronger than she thought, braver than she believed, more skilled than she had given herself credit for. She had learned that the doubters and mockers only had as much power as she gave them, and she had learned that the best answer to mockery was not anger or argument, but simple, undeniable competence. The bike gleamed now, clean and beautiful. Minji stood back to admire her work. The motorcycle that her grandfather had built, that she had restored, that had carried her to second place in a legendary race. It sat in the garage like a monument to what was possible when you combined skill, dedication, and courage. Outside, the sun had fully set. The garage lights made long shadows on the floor. Tomorrow would bring more work, more customers, more chances to teach young girls that they could do anything. But tonight, in this moment, Minji just stood in her garage and felt proud. She had proved everyone wrong. She had earned her place. And this was only the beginning. The next race was already circled on her calendar, 3 months away. She would be ready. And this time she would not be satisfied with second place. This time she was racing to win.